Let's see how many people actually show up for Logan. What's your stage name? Do you have a stage name?
Yeah, I think it's time for you to give me one.
I gotta hear you play first. It's, it's kind of the rules.
I did plug it in, just being stupid, but
Uh-oh.
I'm just being dumb.
There once was a trader. His name was Jay.
There it is. Good
Hey,
old country.
don't
Yeah.
interrupt. Let him keep playing.
Oh
That's
man, you're
why
putting
he
me on.
stopped.
All right, I'll just pull up a quick backing track. Here's what I do in my spare time. I'll just do it for 10 seconds here. I pull up what it is like a backing track of just a band playing random stuff without the lead guitar, and I just make up stuff on the fly. So here we go. How it goes. Anyway, yeah.
Wow.
Awesome, Logan.
Okay, so that alone was worth coming tonight.
Thank you so much. I literally have no favorite genre either. I play everything just because I've played for so long and I've taught hundreds of students, though I've literally just had to learn everything. So, which you end up just liking everything at that point. So, whether it's classical or blues, rock, country, jazz, it doesn't matter. I love it all. So,
That's pretty
but thank
cool.
you.
I mean, you can tell you're very good at it. And how many years have you been playing for?
Let's see, I'm 35 and I started when I was like 10, so 25. Is that if I got my Dave math right?
Yeah.
As I was talking to David, I realized that a lot of my problems were more psychological than skill. And that's definitely not to say I have years worth of skill still to attain, of course, like we all do. But I think there comes a point, as we've all probably ran into, that you realize you do have enough skill, at least to be profitable most days, and that can always get better. But there comes a roadblock for whatever reason, outside, externally, or internally, whatever, that we sabotage ourselves psychologically. And I think whoever was in the class today, David asked me about like what's kind of going on lately and everything with my personal situation. And no, it's not nearly as bad as a family member passing away or anything like that, of course. But you know, not to get too much information, but it's essentially, to me, it's like saying I risk losing 6 years of blood, sweat, and tears that I've put into a place that's actually that we've even paid off. So psychologically, because it's been messing me up lately just because it's a big uncertainty, I guess I should say, in my life. Now, like I said, it's not the biggest deal. I've been through a lot worse, but right now it's a decently sized deal in my life. I asked David how I should handle that. Should I just stop trading when I'm mentally not with it? And I'll get to his answer in a few because it was not what I was thinking. I'll get to how that relates to my specific situation and how David kind of came up with a really clever way of thinking about it that I never would have. So, psychology in trading can be summed up as managing emotions and maintaining discipline to make rational decisions under uncertainty. Successful traders must control emotions like fear, greed, and patience, which can lead to impulsive decisions. But you have to stick to your trading plan. And I put your trading plan because I think we all know we have a slightly different trading plan for each one of us. David and the whole group gives us guidelines, but we kind of have our own take on that. And don't be tempted to break your predetermined rules. And I just watched Pete's video the other day, and I'm not sure if he came up with a trading plan or if he got it from somebody, but either way, it's a great trading plan. And I'm going to really dial mine in, probably based on his and everything. I just recently learned about that. That's a great resource. And then what we talk about every day, know when to get out. This can mean securing at max profit or not letting your loss go past your set limit while thinking it'll come back or just a little more when it's in your favor. It's much more important to get a reset to zero and start over than to risk getting into mid or late game. And we have to maintain a long-term perspective. As David would say, we got to trade for the week, month, and the year. I thought those were some good takeaways I've had in previous sessions, mixed with the current session I had the other day. So while these points are crucial, and we've all heard them a million times, what about when the psychological uncertainty is coming from outside the charts? And that's what I wanted to get to today, because that's more my problem right now. And essentially, in my situation, I took what was a pretty good equity curve for a couple months and just said, let's just throw that in the trash can. And it was all 100% due to my outside situation. So that basically says that here, that I had some unforeseen life events and messed up my mental state. And I went into self-sabotage mode. Then I asked David, I said, should I trade when I know my mental state is off? And I was expecting him to say, no, you shouldn't. That wouldn't be wise. Just like I've heard a million other traders say. But he actually said, absolutely, you should still trade, because trading should be your safe haven. And I really wasn't expecting that, but it really gave me a new outlook on it, because I can compare that to guitar. When I'm upset or when I have a bad day or whatever, sitting down and playing something like guitar, even if I'm kind of like still in that mood, it just lightens it up, kind of gets me in a different headspace. And I can see where being so comfortable, when you get so comfortable, when it's like second nature, you're trading, that's your go-to, that's your escape. So like I say here, no matter what happens in life, even in the worst circumstances, trading should be the one thing you can come to and be comfortable with and basically escape your life problems. That's way easier said than done. And then David quickly identified one of my many problems. I don't have time for all of them, but we'll leave it at one for now. And that is that I'm not trading real money. And I know we've all heard that a million times. It's, I'm not trading real money. But if I think really hard and I tell myself it's real money, then I'll trade better. But no matter how much you tell yourself, it's important to not break my rules. Until it's real money, your subconscious will always know you're in a demo. So David came up with a clever solution for those of us who are not trading real money yet. But first, here's a quote from the late Jim Rohn. I used to watch a lot of his material. I really like his stuff. The quote is, money isn't everything, but it ranks right up there with oxygen. And I thought that was pretty good. I think we can all agree that time is more valuable than money. As we know, this really applies to trading. When you take a huge loss in trading, it obviously can take weeks or months to recover sometimes, if it's big enough. If you take a huge loss in Darwin specifically, we know it will take 6 months to drop off of our record, guaranteed. As David said, to think about time, the time you're risking each time you break your rules and risk taking a huge loss. Because even though I'm not risking money yet, I would argue that 6 months, I don't know how many times I can push back my results 6 months until I just throw in the towel. And I'm a pretty persistent person. I'll keep going at something forever. But I mean, I think any sane person would, after so many handfuls of 6 months, I mean, getting pretty rough. So we have to really think about that as a currency, not just the money. Now, as you all know, a lot of you probably know, I used to do a lot of the horses. That may be me. It's so ironic too, because I was just playing with the AI and the generator.
No,
and it actually looks,
that's not AI. AI. That looks like
No,
that's
actually,
hand drawn.
well, it is actually. That's what I was going to tell you. Like, actually drew it myself. Yeah, it was kind of funny because one of the first results was like this dude that looks similar to me. I'm like, okay, I didn't even try for that actually. I was just going for the guitar thing. So I used to, do the whole horses and rodeo and bull riding and stuff like that. And then of course I got into the music, and that's been kind of my career ever since, the music. So I thought it was kind of funny to have a dude. So if you can see the picture there, the coin says 6 months. I just kind of did that as a visual to kind of give us that representation of, hey, you screw up today, big time, you might be looking at literally throwing that 6 months just down the drain. And then you got to do it again. So I want you to remember this picture because I'm going to get a little bit redundant. Yeah, my token. Boz, you would say that, wouldn't you? That's funny.
I want to know what AI you did because it's pretty good.
It's actually my first time using it. It's actually the Chat GPT Premium, and it has like the built-in like the plugins. I just did that, but yeah, I just kind of give it a quick prompt. It took forever to get. I had to try so many times just to get the 6 months because you know how bad it is with text.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
But anyhow, so Brandon, what does that say about me, Brandon? That's funny. But here's me trying to catch my coin that I'll never catch because I just had a huge loss. And I got to start all over with a new coin. I think we all know redundancy, repetition, all that stuff is the mother of all skills. And I've estimated, I don't even know at this point, I might even have close to 20,000 hours on the guitar. I wouldn't even want to count now. And that's my whole point. And I know that's true for everything. And so I'm going to repeat a little bit here, and you're going to get sick of it, but I think we all need to hear it. So here we go. When you catch yourself bending the rules, I want you to remember this picture. When you catch yourself getting into the late game, remember this picture, 6 months. When you catch yourself being impatient, remember this picture. When you catch yourself using bad PTP, notice the quotes there. I put an eagle there, and if Eagle ever sees this, I'm not sure if he's on today, but if he sees this video, he's going to get the reference because he's always getting on David about that improper usage of bad PTP. But we all know what it means. So remember the picture. Here's before I move on, here's a rough quote. Now, I can't remember exactly how you said it, David, but I know it was something like this. He said something like, with $1 million at stake, requiring flawless PTP, how thoughtful would you be about your trade placement? Or something like that, because I don't know how he said it. But it really stuck with me because it was probably a couple months ago that I heard him say it, and it really stuck with me. And I have to keep reminding myself that because you get in the moment and you forget to be very conscious about it. But you have to remember that. What if $1 million really was at stake for that one trading session, and all you had to have was perfect trade placement? I think we would trade very carefully and probably have a lot less risk outs. So there's that little side note. But when you catch yourself saying it'll come back, remember that picture, 6 months. I don't have that many more, I promise.
No, I just saw that. Okay, I got to comment.
Go ahead.
On the picture, dude.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you go back to your picture, I got to comment on
Okay.
the picture.
Next one, when you catch yourself saying just a little more profit, it'll get to that line. I know it's at max profit, but maybe it'll keep going. Probably should have secured it, but you didn't. Now it reversed on you. But just remember the picture.
Are these?
What were you going to say, David?
Are
Yeah.
these rosary beads right here? So you like
That's
praying?
funny. I specifically told AI to put that there, so I'll never tell you what the prompt is.
They look like you're praying. It's the hope and pray
That's,
strategy right here.
That is the hope. How funny is that? That's a good observation. Oh, that's too good. When you catch yourself trading too heavy, you know the drill. Just remember what you have to lose. Now, this one I want to talk about just for a second because in my session last week with David, one of my flaws anyway, that everyone knows me as I do like I do take pieces of candy more so than letting things run. And I do try to let things run, but I'm mostly a candy picker upper. So that being said, I am flipping positions, buy, sell, buy, sell. And sometimes I'll try to stick with the trend mostly, but I'll still do a little both. But it's mostly in consolidation. And we know what happens. Even David asked me this today. He said, what happens after consolidation? Of course, it has to break out. There's no other option. So you have to start looking for 3 pieces of evidence of which way it might break out, or in any situation, not just a consolidation or any trade that you take from now on. You have to look for 3 pieces of evidence, or why take it? Because you're risking. So that was one of my bigger flaws. And he pointed out that I was just picking up candy like crazy, and all of a sudden a big move will come and I'm on the wrong side of it and I have to work my way out of it. Sometimes you can, and sometimes you know what happens. So remember the picture. Now, last one. When you catch yourself smacking a Brandon in the wrong place, you got to remember the picture.
Remember the rosemary beads.
Remember, that's what you got to, that's the hope. That is the true hope and pray strategy, isn't it? You smack a few Brandons on there and just,
you
just
better
pray
that Brandon smack back.
Yeah. So anyway, I just want you guys to think about this. Fill in the blank on your own time before you start trading. And think about, if you don't make conscious decisions about these things, like we all know what to do, right? For the most part. But do we do them in the moment? And then I would argue probably not a lot of times. And so we have to really think about it. And what you have to lose is not necessarily the money. Of course, some people are trading big money and they will lose a lot of money, but you're also losing time. So that's about, I mean, my conclusion for what I had, but it was a big realization for myself in the psychology area. And of course, we went over some technical things and like that, but that was one of my bigger takeaways for the week.
So I know that
Any
that's
questions?
kind of, that's been kind
Yes.
of your struggle just recently, is taking loss because of psychology, and you blaming it on psychology. But during my trading session with you, I don't really feel like psychology was prevalent in our sessions, even today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're right.
And beyond psychology, for me, I was pointing out to you, it's like I don't want to take away anything from what you've done for psychology, but but my thing was, for you in your boot camp, was to look for 3 pieces of evidence, and you said that in your presentation. But for me, that would help you with your psychology, right?
Oh, I agree 100%.
Because you're making more clear moves before you leap in, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of saw that a little bit today in our session together, where we didn't know. There was a couple times where we were what we call 50-50 at the 50, where the market could go any direction.
Right.
And we don't know. And so what did we do? We sat and we looked for multiple pieces of evidence and risk versus reward. We did our analysis before we even placed a trade, right?
Right.
And if you have all of those, if you do all of that, it should eliminate the outside noise, right? When you're just like, hey, okay, you got to focus on this. And you shift your focus to trading. It's when we jump in and we don't have a plan and we just trade one way because it's the only way we know, and then the market goes against us, and then we get frustrated because it didn't do what we thought it was going to do. And so my biggest takeaway for you is, don't worry what the market does, only react to it like we did in our session today. You know what I mean? And trying to go back, I don't think we had a losing day with you last week or today, right?
No.
I don't think and I'm pretty confident we hit goal every single day. I'm not sure on that, but that we traded together. And it wasn't really taking pieces of candy. We did once, but I don't remember if it was taking pieces of candy. Like,
really, today it wasn't. No.
Yeah.
I don't really think
And
it's realistic either.
it was just taking what the market was giving you because you're learning to recognize that,
Right.
right? And for me, that's what I'm hoping that you're getting from this, is that once you can realize and recognize what the market is doing, which you're right there, you're really close to it,
Yeah.
then it becomes your safe haven, right?
Yeah.
This becomes, I'm blocking everything out and the outside noise doesn't matter because I'm just trading the market how it should be, what the market's doing.
Exactly. You're essentially attacking my problem at the source, which is psychology comes because I haven't made myself sit down and be conscious about that next decision, because I have
Correct.
other things happening and I'm not getting into that headspace. So you're saying just let that, get yourself into that space by giving myself that specific task. Look for 3 pieces of evidence.
Correct.
And your psychology is going to fix itself.
Correct. If you focus on how you're going to play the market, right?
Yeah.
And it's exactly like when you play a guitar, like you're good enough right now to where you could just play the guitar and you don't even need to know what the music's going to come.
Right.
You don't even know what you're going to play, but you know what sounds good. And you can make up
Exactly.
your own music on the fly, right?
100%.
But in the beginning stages, when you were learning, you needed to have a sheet music in front of you or you couldn't play anything.
Yep.
Right? It's
Yep.
the same thing, right? You need to have a trading plan in front of you until you can get to the point where you no longer need to see the trading plan every single day because you're doing it every single day. And
Right.
doesn't matter what the market does because you've been here, done that. You can pull the right chord on the market and play it like
Yep.
a git fiddle, you know?
Yep.
It's the same thing. It really is.
Yep.
It's from a psychology perspective, right? I'd probably like in
Right.
saying trading the markets, learning how to play a guitar. It's like learning a
Yeah.
language.
I think it's funny because one of my biggest parallels that I keep thinking about, like whenever you say in the market, like some days you'll say, I don't care what direction it goes. It just like, that's just how, like, I love that mindset because I say that in music to my students. I say, I don't care what note you hit, fix it and find the next one. It just doesn't matter because I can work myself out of a bad sounding lick, maybe an accent, maybe my finger slips or anything. I can catch people on big stages doing that all the time. The regular crowd wouldn't notice, but guess what? They're making mistakes and they're fixing them so quickly that they made the mistake even sound good. So that's kind of my parallel, that I can just hit any note on the guitar. I don't care where it is, what time it is in the song, and I will make it work with that song. And I love that because that's how it is with the market.
It is. It really is. I mean, and if you're just starting out, the hard part is, and I don't know where you're at in your journey, but when I caught you just here,
Yeah.
the reason why I think you're picking up pieces of candy is because it's easy. It's
You're
easy.
right. Yep.
But it's not easy. We talked about it when you get on the wrong side of a breakout.
Correct.
Right? Like your nemesis is when the market breaks out. And it, instead of giving you 2 pips against you, it gives you 10 pips against you.
Yeah.
Whatever the case is. And so
And
that's why I'm like, you have to have more knowledge
yeah.
in order to understand what to do instead of freak out and get frustrated. Right?
No, that's exactly right. Yep.
But yeah, sorry. Then I was like, I just wanted to make sure that those dots were connected with you because that's what we were working on.
That makes total sense. Yeah.
But does anybody have any comments or questions for Sir Pips a lot?
For pips a lot. Or I'll just play guitar for the rest of the time. Out with that.
I love how you liken training to the guitar, right? And it's just and how you can really draw upon that parallel and know that, look, if you had been training for as long as you had been putting time in on the guitar,
oh my gosh.
you would be,
Could you imagine?
You wouldn't be teaching about psychology. Do you know what I mean? You'd be teaching about
Well, exactly.
the A's, plan A and plan B, right? I love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you feel that because of your boot camp and your hot seat sessions, how have you felt like they've impacted your trading from before to now?
It really, I'd say it made me aware. Because like I said, I think it took you, David, to say, I don't, I almost want to say it in a harsh way. Even though you didn't, I want to tell it to myself like this. I don't care what I'm going through. Just, yes, you have to deal with it. We all have to deal with stuff. It's life. So just sit down, be conscious of what you're doing, and have your predetermined decisions and things that you're going to look for, regardless of how you feel or what's going on. And I think it took you basically saying that for me to realize, you know what, this doesn't have to, my mindset doesn't have to take over my trading. And it was, and I don't know why. It was just, well, I do know why now, but yeah, that's how it has impacted me. It's just today, I'll admit, like today, I could have traded a little heavier. We could have got out earlier, could have got gold probably even twice if I was just, 2 trades here instead of 1 and all that. But it really felt safe too, and I love that. And I don't care if it takes an hour and a half, 2 hours, because at the end of the day, I didn't suffer another loss because I self-sabotaged because I couldn't get in the right mental state.
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen in the past 2 weeks, I've seen you grow so much, but I love that your takeaway is suck it up and just keep and power through it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. I mean, like when I was a kid, like I would literally get stomped on by, I shouldn't say this in public even, but I was at a small rodeo and I've been riding since I was 6. Started me out on sheep, calves, steers, junior bulls, all the way up to bulls. And I went through a seminar actually with, if you guys ever seen the movie 8 Seconds about Lane Frost. So there was 3 world champion bull riders that traveled the country together: Cody Lambert, Lane Frost, and Tuff Hedeman. Cody Lambert came to my state and put on a seminar when I was a kid. I was like 14. And there's about 20 some kids there at the time. It was like steers. And I would argue they're actually harder to ride because they're like squirrelier, real quick. And so we had a ride off. We rode about 20 times that day. We had a ride off. And I actually won the entire seminar. And I got like the buckle and the money and the signed glove by him. And I thought that was the coolest thing. But at the same time, I would go to these small rodeos back then. This would never be allowed. And I would ride actual bulls that were in the PBR because they would take them to these small rodeos too. And at 14 and 15 years old, and I would get stomped on just like the big boys, and I just get back up and get back on the next time. And that's the same thing with the market.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that we don't get stomped on. It's a good graphic, but you're right. I guess the bulls and the bears will stomp on you.
Yeah.
But I don't ever want to get stomped on by a PBR bull and I don't think, how do you get back up?
Let's say I still hurt at 35, so let's just say that.
So, Logan, do you still rodeo?
No, I don't. It's been so long. My last ride was probably around 26, and that was enough. I went to the hospital, and they thought I was paralyzed from the waist down. Luckily, it was like temporary, so I'm good.
Wow.
But yeah, I haven't done it for a minute.
I actually have several friends who were former professional bull riders. And
Oh, really?
yeah, they're not, I'm from Texas. These aren't people I met in Texas. They're people I met in North Carolina. But yeah, they were on the circuit and traveled around. And so anyway,
it's cool.
I've seen a rodeo once.
You didn't want to get on the back of one? Oh, man. So, yeah, that's why I do draw the parallels. And it's, you know what, if I can get stomped on and get back up and do it again, what's a chart going to do to me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just, And I would probably venture to say that once you do get trading your own money, you're going to get stomped on again. Almost every trader loses their own money and has a big loss. Now, it doesn't mean it's a catastrophic loss, but every trader has to experience that before they say never again. It just, for whatever reason.
Right.
So, Anyways,
Okay.
Logan, I appreciate
Anyway,
it. Appreciate you.
I don't want to
letting us
bore
know.
everybody. Yeah,
No,
I appreciate it
don't.
going up. And
I'm not bored. Anybody else bored?
I'm not bored.
Boz, stop typing. Stop typing, Boz.
I've got a million more questions, but they're not about trading. So you
yeah,
guys
we're
want to listen.
that's funny.
I got more bull riding questions. I mean,
Uh-oh.
We're gonna have to create a chat on Discord just for bull riding.
Yeah, no kidding. Pretty funny.
so
All
Logan,
right. Yeah, go ahead.
I will ask you this. What state are
Okay.
you in?
I grew up in Ohio, but I recently moved about 2-3 years ago to Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Got it. So I didn't know they had that many cowboys in Ohio.
There's actually quite a bit. You'd be surprised. There used to be a big rodeo scene.
Underground. It's an underground circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like some of those, oh man, some of these little rodeos are like the size of a freaking living room, and like the bull's just slamming you up against the gate on the other side of the arena to get there in 2 seconds. Oh, it's crazy.
I used to break horses as a teenager
Mm.
at a ranch.
oh, that's cool.
And the ones that wouldn't break, we'd sell off to the rodeo and just as broncos and stuff. So
Nice.
that's my, and I never rode. I mean, I rode them when we were breaking them, but I never rode them like in a rodeo or bronking them.
Did you sell them to the rodeos for the purpose of bronco riding, or?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like
That's something I never wanted to get into, that because it was so jerky, and if a bull messes you up, you're going to be messed up, but it's going to be like one big time. A horse, they'll just sit there and jerk and break over and over again. Like, that's guaranteed to mess you up over time. So
whatever, they have like on-site chiropractors.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not into that.
Get him back in there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, there's no way I could do that. So, but that's probably why I'm messed up nowadays.
Yeah, it might be.
I've fallen off a horse or two. And then, true story, I took my wife riding for our very first date. She'd never ridden a horse before, so gave her the tamest horse in the world. She couldn't get it going at all or moving at all. So I said, "Here, let's trade horses." And so I got on her horse, got it going, and the horse I gave her took off, and she didn't know how to stop.
Oh my gosh.
And it flew her off. It bucked her off the horse. She flew off the horse. And surprise, she went on a second date with me.
Oh wow. That is surprising.
That was my first date.
Wow. Yeah, you must have done something right if she even agreed to talk to you again after that.
I know.
You must have a lot of patience. But I'm kidding. Yeah. You're probably tired of hearing that.
Anyways, Logan, love your presentation tonight. Thank you so much for spending the time to put it together. I feel like you probably got more out of putting it together and putting your thoughts down than probably attending the boot camp and going off of that, because that's really is when you learn what you start to know what you learn, right?
Exactly.
So you start to then put that into practice. And I hope going forward, this will not just be something that you'll just do once, but you'll continue to put into practice over and over and over. And then maybe here in the next little bit, we can jump back in and work on the next thing or the next thing or the next thing, and keep working with you until you're trading as well as you're playing on the get fiddle. That's the goal, right?
That is the goal. I appreciate the time, everybody.
All right. Thank you guys. And we'll call it there and have a great night. We'll see you guys in the morning. Thanks.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks.